What's up out there? Today we're going to take a look at a game called Dragonkin the Banished. This is developed by Echo Software, published by Nacon, released March 6, 2025, so just a couple of days ago at this point. This is released into early access. It is priced at $24.99, discounted to $19.99 until March 20th. That's US prices. There is no demo. Apparently there was one at one point, but it's no longer up anymore. Probably a Steam Next Fest demo, I'm guessing. Reviews on Steam are currently mixed. It is available only on Steam at this point. I think through a little bit of sleuthing through Google, it sounds like console releases will follow at some point, either during early access or once this releases out, 1.0 or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that, but it sounds like consoles might follow at some point. And performance for me has been really good so far. Now, a quick note before we dive into all of this. Echo Software that developed this also developed Warhammer Chaos Bane. So mileage may vary. I know Warhammer Chaos Bane is on the big list of ARPGs that are out there. It's one of the ones on the list. I've never owned it. I finally did buy it because Nacon is doing a big sale right now. So they've got that for like $3. And they also publish RoboCop Rogue City for Teon, and Teon's the one that developed Terminator Resistance. I absolutely love Terminator Resistance, and I've heard a lot of good things about RoboCop Rogue City. So I grabbed that for like $10. So RoboCop Rogue City is up for sale if you're interested in that. Warhammer Chaos Bane is up for sale, and Dragonkin is also out, newly released, and we're going to take a look at it. So PSA, big sale on right now. So let's dive into Dragonkin. What is this game? This is pretty much a Diablo-style, Exile-like ARPG, whatever buzzwords you want to throw into it. Me personally, I would say this is comparable to Titan Quest in level design and NPC dialogue and things like that. I actually like the story in this. It might be a little generic to some people, but I think it's kind of a cool story. I don't mind it. It's interesting, at least. I would compare it to Titan Quest specifically, not Grim Dawn, but Titan Quest. I've been playing through Titan Quest lately, and I played through Grim Dawn earlier. This feels a lot more like Titan Quest as far as the level design and the way the game plays and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of differences to it for sure, but if I was to compare it to anything, I think it's most favorably compared to Titan Quest. Now, I will compare this also to Last Epoch. This is not in the same caliber of something like Path of Exile 1 or 2 or Diablo 4 or anything like that as far as polish and graphics and things like that. The story's not nearly as good as Path of Exile 2's. The gameplay is not as good as PoE 1. So those are like not the one, those are the big heavy lifters. I wouldn't compare this to that. And graphically, it's not as good as Diablo 4 and it's pretty smooth, but it's not, I don't know. It just doesn't feel exactly like those. Those are big heavy hitters. I would, as a contemporary for today, I would compare it to Last Epoch. This is not as good as Last Epoch in some regards, but I think this exceeds Last Epoch in other regards. So like the level design, I like the story better here. I think the dialogue's a lot better. I think the voice acting's a lot better. Last Epoch was pretty cheesy, man. It was it was pretty bad. And I think Last Epoch's kind of a mid game, but it is what I would at least consider a AAA game. This is definitely AA. If I was to rate this, like I've only played for a couple hours now, but if I was to rate this is a solid 6 out of 10 janky game, and I think that's what they're trying for. So mission accomplished. And the other interesting thing is, if you notice, the graphics don't look all that great. Like it looks like it's missing textures or something. I was reading around, this is actually on Unreal 5, and this is the jankiest looking Unreal 5 game I think I've seen yet. But I think it's because they just haven't applied textures to it or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it does look kind of rough. It definitely looks rough. So, first thoughts, visual style, we're going to get into that here in just a second. I want to run you through the character creation screen. There's some really cool features on that, but I want to just give you my thoughts, just quick shot of thoughts real fast here. Visual style, I love. The city and the terrain looks really good. You're going to see that when we go play. The level design and the sense of scale that this game has is really cool. You'll be looking over hills and up and down. There's nice sets of elevation and everything. I love the level design of all this. The characters look pretty rough, but the level design and the map layouts and everything, the way everything looks, the way the city looks is really cool. The voice acting is really good. I love that. Like I said, it's better than Last Epoch. The prologue, I actually liked. I liked the way they did the prologue. I thought that was really cool. It lets you try each of the 4 classes out. And it's basically I'm not very good at Lord of the Rings lore. Like I've watched the movies, but that's it. But in the movies, you've got the people that are the current generation of people that are doing things. That's this guy here. He's like an apprentice. The prologue is the older generation, the original generation that took on Sauron. And that's what the prologue here is like the 4 elders or whatever that fought some dragon. And you witness that fight. You actually take part in that fight, with each of the 4 warriors, and you get to see their move set and everything like that. They're pre-built characters that just basically can't die. So I thought it was really well done. I liked it a lot, and it was very cool. I thought it was very cool the way it was done. So I really liked the prologue. I liked trying out the 4 classes. There are currently only 3 classes in the game right now. We're going to have a 4th one soon, but you get to at least try out all 4 of them in a pre-built way. I'm sure they just don't have the one finished quite yet, and it's going to get here at some point soon. Another thing that I liked is a lot of games will throw up a help message just somewhere up on the screen, and they'll usually stop the action so that they force you to read that dialogue. This game did not do that. It just put a little dialogue off to the side, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. There are so many AAA games that you're having fun, you're doing something, and you go to click on a monster or shoot a gun or something, and it throws this big message up. Hey, did you know you can push left click to shoot a monster? That is annoying, and stopping the action like that just frustrates me to no end. I noticed that this one threw a help message up and didn't stop it, so I love that. Now, on the annoying side of things, chests will show up on the mini map, but you don't really see them in the map. You have to really look for them. Like if you're killing stuff, you're not going to pay attention to it. There's no little flare or anything coming off of them to say, hey, here's a chest to go click on. You just look over at the mini map and you'll see one. And you don't really get a noise when you open it. They're just kind of there. They just kind of open up. There's not much damage feedback. There is a little bit, but you'll find yourself taking damage. You'll look down, you'll be like, oh, I'm almost dead. The screen does turn colors at a certain point, but you just don't really get a lot of feedback, like a big red screen coming up when you're taking hits or anything. So I'm not really into that. And there's not much feedback when you level up. It's like a little flare somewhere, but it's pretty not all there. The game does feel a tad on rails, and I don't know how else to explain that because a lot of these games are kind of linear in some regards. But I don't know. That's pretty much the first thoughts that I have written down. So let's dive into this proper. And before we do that, one more thing. As I was thinking about this, a thought occurred to me. Would I recommend this? Before we go into a big, long dissertation, would I recommend this to you as a potential buyer? If you go into this thinking that this is going to be, and you're comfortable with playing a 6 out of 10 kind of janky game that is not going to be some big AAA blockbuster or something like that, it's worth it. I've enjoyed every second of playing this, but you need to understand this is probably only ever going to be a 6 out of 10 janky game. It might elevate up to a 7 or something like that, but I don't see this thing becoming the next Path of Exile or anything like that, and I don't think they're trying to make the next Path of Exile. So hopefully that is a good enough prologue and the cliff notes of everything we're about to dive into. Okay, so when you start your character out, you create a new character, so we're going to go create one here. I don't quite get what these groups are, but I think, and there's no multiplayer right now, there's no co-op or anything like that. It's in the roadmap at some point, but I think what this is if you wanted to create another character in Group A, you would share the loot across that. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know why you would want to create all these different groups necessarily. I haven't quite figured it out, but I don't remember if you have to create a new group on the first time or not, but there's 8 different groups you can have. I'm just showing you this because I want to walk through it. There's some really cool features in here, and I want to show you how this works out real quick before we dive into the actual game. If you go to new group, you can actually do story and prologue, skip that and go to story, or just skip completely over to the end game. This character here, I went through the prologue and I'm going through the story now, which I think is like 6 to 8 hours or something like that. From what I gather, it maybe 12 hours, somewhere in that realm. I think there was some Steam comments talking about how long the story is. So I'm trying to get through that. But I was able to create a character and just go straight to the end game and start playing it. And you can pretty much go to any area in the game. So I spoiled myself a little bit on a couple of areas that I probably didn't want to see, and I should have went through the story first. But I was curious what the end game looked like, and you can just immediately get there. So if you're interested in just blazing past the story and going straight to the end game, you can certainly do that. Once you select what you want to do here, you click your item. And then you can choose between the 4 different classes. Like I said, there's one class that's missing, and that's the ranged class. I can't remember if it's a dude or a chick, but when you go through the prologue, you're going to go through each one. You're going to go through the knight, you're going to go through the oracle, and you're going to go through the barbarian. You might think, man, these characters are kind of ugly. You can throw on their skins. I don't know why they start with the skins off, but they do for some reason. And I don't know if there's... I haven't even figured out how to turn the skins on in the game. I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. But I like the knight guy. He's got a, what is this thing? A lance. And he'll hold the lance on top of his shield and use it like a flamethrower. That's what I really dug about him. He's got a all right, decent moveset, but I really liked the flamethrower bit. The Oracle, I thought she was okay. She's got lightning damage or whatever. It was okay. I didn't really vibe with her skill set all that much. Usually magic types I'm not that interested in, so and say what you will. And then the barbarian, he's got, I don't really remember his stuff, axe and a hammer or whatever. I honestly thought he was a dwarf at first, but then you find out he's like 7 feet tall. Because when you first see him in the game, he looks kind of squat and small like a dwarf. But then you find out he's this massive barbarian. So I don't know, the scaling was a little weird on that one. But I chose Knight on this, and we're going to back out actually because I want to go back to the character that I've leveled far enough into the game with. So there are some really cool options that allow you to just straight up skip to the end game if you want. I don't know if you can do that right out of the gate, but I thought it was very cool. You can do the prologue if you want, again, over again, or you can skip the prologue, go right to the story, or just skip right to the end game. So when you come into town here, you are going to walk in, I think you come in from this side, and they basically make you walk across this whole way and up into here somewhere. And then once you've advance the main story, which is really just a bunch of walking. While you're walking through the town, they will talk to you and give you, it's kind of like a cutscene that you walk through, but it's not really a cutscene. It's you walking while somebody's narrating. But they'll tell you a bunch of stuff. And once you get up through there, you'll think, man, this sucks. I got to walk through all this again. Because this is a pretty long, there's some pretty long runs of distance here. But you don't. You can, let's see, tab is the button I'm looking for. You can actually teleport between the areas, and it's just that quick. There's no loading screens or anything. You just click the R key, select the area you want to go to, and you're there, which I think is very cool. And one of the really cool things about this, and one of the things that I'm trying to highlight, or I'm wanting to highlight here, is the town itself. Like they've spent, and this is probably a bad part of the town to show off, but you'll start seeing the elevation as we go down. I love the amount of detail and effort that they've put into this town. You see people walking around like just regular townsfolk. The place looks lived in, and even though you could pass through people, but the place looks lived in. And this reminds me of Titan Quest as well, because Titan Quest had a lot of little details like this, and there'll be sections, I don't know if I can find one real quickly here, but there'll be sections where you're looking down and what you see, you can actually walk over to, and we're probably not in a good area of the city to show that off, but you'll see it when we get out in the overworld, which we need to just go ahead and head out to the overworld. Maybe we're kind of coming up on that now, or not. But you can see like the little shops and everything. I love details like this. It's not just people standing around, T-posing or just blankly staring off into the distance. They're kind of wandering around. You got somebody looking at goods over here. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. So let's see here. We need to go back to the marketplace because the marketplace has a teleporter. And if we go to the teleporter, you'll see the overworld map here, which has actually got quite a few different places on it. All of these unlock at some point. I don't know what I looked at, something over here, I think, or down here on the end game part of it. But I ended up taking a boat over to here, so I've got some of this area opened up, and I've got a bunch of this area opened up, which you can see is with these little areas here. So the game world is actually kind of decent sized. Let's go to the plains over here. We are going to get into combat. Do not worry. We are headed into combat. This area here is when you come out of the town, you come out this way and you'll come over to this dragon area, which I think we'll make our way up to, I guess we can go to this one. There's a dragon thing here. When you get to these dragons, they show you the area, and I want to show that off before we go and do a whole bunch of combat stuff. Now, this is kind of a builder spender sort of thing, but it's not as bad as Diablo 4 was. I hated Diablo 4 at launch. For the Barbarian, you had to basically start with an empty tank of mana or fury or whatever it's called and then build it up. With this one, you can actually use the cool skills. You can use them at any time. This does continue to fill up, and then you can use your regular pokey stabby skill for this guy to build up this. Well, when you hit enemies, you can build that up. By hitting enemies. So you've always got pretty much always got the ability to use the cool skills. They're not just locked behind some fury meter. So I've got this big sweep unlocked, and I've got this explodey thing, whatever this is. We've got show of strength, which is the sweep, and then explosive overload is the explodey thing. And then my favorite is this flamethrower. Now the flamethrower uses this yellow meter off to the side, so that automatically fills back up, and you don't have to worry about it. It just fills up on its own fairly quickly, and I think you can accelerate that stuff. Okay, the thing I want to show you here, if you click on this, where these little dragon piles are, if you click on this, it's going to take you on a tour of all the areas that are coming up. And what you see, you can actually get to. So we're actually going to go up the stairs and come up into here. I think this is incredible. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, where it shows you the area, or some open world game like Assassin's Creed where you can see all the places you can go and it shows you like the layout of the area. I think this is cool, and you can actually walk there and you'll see the elevation change as we go over here and climb up into things. So we'll do some combat on the way, fight some cows and whatever else comes along, pick up some loot in here. And I think these are crafting materials. I haven't quite gotten into all that. Torch these guys. I love the torch ability. I think that's that's a lot of fun right there. I forget to use my other abilities quite a bit, to be honest with you. I almost forget they're there. And you can see I'm taking damage here, but there's not really much feedback that I am taking damage. Can I just not kill this guy? Now the screen's turning gray. And I am poisoned. Why can I not hurt this guy? Can we not explode? Press the B button. No, he's not dying. Okay. I don't know what changed. I changed the difficulty level. I was on medium. I think it's the default is on medium, and it was kind of really easy to play. And then I switched over to hard, and now it's... Yeah, there we go. Fire solves problems. It's a little more difficult. There's a lot more things to worry about now. Whatever that shield was, whatever that invincibility was, like I didn't have to deal with any of that before, and now all of a sudden I do. So I'm getting used to this. Everything I've played so far was on medium, but I'm a couple hours into it and figured out that, yeah, medium is just too easy. So this is the stairs we were looking at coming up earlier. And here's the little circular area. So you can just see it's right there. I mean, all this stuff is, oh, we need to get out of that. All this, you could see it and you could get to it. I don't know that every area in the game is something that if you can see it, you can get to it. I don't know that everything is like that, but this certainly is, or every areas that I've been in is pretty much that way. And like you can see this area down here, a lot of times you can actually get to some other place. I don't know, some other area. This doesn't really have it. Something like lower than that, Words are failing me. Let's go back to town here, and I want to travel to a different area. Try to show off what I'm trying to say here. So you've got town portal, takes you right back over into here. Eventually. And we can go back over this way. You will get stuck on stuff. That's definitely an issue. So you're trying to go around something, and there's like a hard corner. It doesn't like send you past it. Sometimes you'll get stuck on ramps and everything when you're trying to go up. That kind of sucks. Let's see. I think we want... the swamp. I can't remember if it's the swamp or the lair place or the cult place. One starts you at the beginning of it, and the other one starts you at the end of it. And I want to kind of be at the beginning of it. We'll do this one here. Yeah, this looks good. So you'll see stuff off in the distance, and you can't necessarily get into everything here. Not everything is accessible. But there are a lot of areas that you will see that you can go. Kill that thing off. Like you can probably get down into these areas down there. The elevation in this game is really cool. You'll go up a ramp, and this is, again, I keep talking about Titan Quest, but this is something that I really like about Titan Quest, and they do this really well here. You can actually go to this ramp down here. So if we continue on, there'll be a way to get over to that spot. I don't see any monsters on that. But somehow, some way, you should be able to get down into there. And that playing with elevation and all that, there's this early spot, too, that I'd really like to show, but I don't know how to get back there. It was... right after the prologue, when you start the story, you look out over the main city. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful view. Really cool. So like this, you can see there's a ramp that goes down into the swamp. You can get up into here, come across here, and you can see those areas in the distance and actually get over to them. That's what I think is kind of incredible. If I can figure out how to do it, some of these areas are like the next level up, so I've already gone past it. Oh, I know where I was headed before we could do all that. But you can kind of see the style of combat this has, the way things flow. And it's not Path of Exile 1 or 2 where you've got all the... Like, it's not Path of Exile where you have to go make all these builds. It's kind of Diablo style where you're going to have set classes to choose from. You do get skills. We'll take a look at those in a second, but I want to show this real quick here. This is another flyover where you can see like the area. You can get to all this stuff somehow, some way, like ramps go to different places. I don't know. I just think that's very cool. So there are classes in here. They all have different abilities. I don't know how many abilities there are. I haven't ran into a ton of them yet. But if we go into we'll start off with the inventory screen here. We'll get over to the character screen where you can pick your skills and everything. I've got a certain set of skills that I think these are the skills aside from whatever was in E. These are the same ones in the prologue. This might be all the skills there are. There might be some additional ones. I'm not exactly sure, but it's not like you've got Path of Exile style skills where you've got an unlimited amount of skills and all kinds of different support stuff to it. It's far more limited. It's not quite as open as maybe Diablo 4 is. It's a little more restricted. You're going to have specific skills for each class, and it might be kind of limited. But I don't know. The flamethrower one's kind of cool, and we'll dive into basically the passive tree here in a second. I kind of like the way they did their passive tree. So on the inventory screen, you've got all the different gear you can equip, and you can mouse over it. It automatically shows whether it's better or worse. So I've got red numbers in here. These are all worse. You can just quickly at a glance see, and this is pretty much how Diablo 4 does things. You can look at this. You can see the score is higher. We're going to do thorn damage. It's about the same attack. This is for a shield. And we're going to lose a little bit of physical damage reduction, or a little bit of phys damage off of this. So we'll swap that out. This is worse. This is a little better in the armor department, but I lose some electrical resistance, so I'll swap that out just to get the extra armor. Lose some gold bonus off of here. Yeah, we'll swap that out and give me a little bit more protection. So there are these things, which I presume are crafting materials. I've not found a use for them yet. And then you've got your cosmetic part. The actual passive tree is this thing here. I don't quite have this totally figured out, but you've got these little honeycomb patterns. I presume you can have 4 different stacks of these sitting here. These are not in use. These are what you have in storage, and I'm not covering any of this up, so that's good. So these are what you have in storage, and then these are what's in use. And no, I am not covering it up, just the little bit of this bottom one. You can unsocket these and socket them as much as you want, so you can respec your character all you want. There's no cost to respec anything in here. We'll get into the attributes and stuff like that. You can just change stuff however you see fit. But for this screen here, this ancestral grid, you take these little hex things, they'll drop on the ground, and you'll get new ones, and it'll be like a 1 hex. This is a 1 hex. Then there's a 2 hex, which is this thing here. Then there is a 3 hex, which I don't have one right now, and then there's a 4. So what you do is you take your skill, like I've got my flamethrower, and you try to get it adjacent to fire damage, greater area of effect, and another greater area of effect. So if I mouse over this, the symbiosis is inactive. I don't know what that means yet, but I've got 3 of 8 modifiers on it, which there's 1, 2, and 3. If I mouse over this, you can see what lights up green. I don't know what the blue means. Like, I don't know if I click on this or mouse over this, these all light up blue. I'm not sure why that does that. And if I mouse over this, that lights up blue. I don't know. I have not gotten that far yet, but I like this system. I don't know how to unlock the rest of these. Some of these are keyed off. There's numbers on some of these. So I don't know if you have to unlock these keys with a specific quest or something, or if this is like level 10 unlocks these sections here. Don't know. Haven't got that far into the game yet. But I thought this was really cool. This is their passive tree. It's much simpler, but yet a little bit more flexible. And like I said, you can respec at any time. We've also got the attributes tab. Now this one took me a little bit to figure out. When you allocate points into the attributes tab, you will get what's on here. So if for the courage here, if I put a point into that, my attack goes up and my maximum HP goes up. If I take a point out of it, we go down. So we've got 304 and 825 to 312 and 832. As you get further down into this, and once you get 10 points into it and 25 points into it, you'll light these lines up. I wasn't sure, what I was questioning is I wasn't sure if putting points into it was worthwhile if I didn't make it to one of these cutoffs, because you only get like 4 points to level up with. Or when you level up, you only get 4 points. So I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to allocate those points up until 10 or spread them across all these, because all these offer something different. Like courage gives you attack and max HP. Intellect gives you attack and armor. Resilience gives you max HP and armor piercing. And then agility gives you armor and block damage. But you've also got these cutoff points. Like if I get 10 points into here, this increases base skill damage, increase core skill damage, and increases damage dealt to nearby enemies. If you increase intellect, you're going to get energy regen, energy gain, and bonus damage. So each one of these has different reasons to level them up. And I'm going to guess you're not going to have enough points to level all of them up to 100. I'm going to guess you're not going to get 400 points there. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm not sure, but I've tried to allocate to get to these tier point cutoffs. And when I bumped my difficulty up, it automatically gave me 5 points into this. So I cannot take away points out of this. I have to have these points into here. So I'm probably going to level these up to maybe 10 each or something, so I at least get those benefits, and then take this one to 25, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. Haven't quite figured that out yet. And you can refund it all. Like I said, you can easily respec this anytime you want and swap things around. The stat screen is just that. I haven't really dug into this, but you've got all your offense, defense, health, and miscellaneous type stuff over here. Talent tree, I have not unlocked anything in, so I do not know how this works. It looks kind of confusing, and I'm probably going to struggle understanding this, because unless it's just as simple as putting a point into that. There's a lot of nodes on here, and I don't know if you can respec this anytime you want. Again, haven't unlocked this yet, but I'm curious to see how this goes because this is a whole other level of complexity. And then you've got your wormling, and this thing upgrades pretty much the way your attributes are over here. He's got his own attributes, or she, whichever wormling you have. So they've got their own stuff to level up. But that is kind of a whirlwind tour of the skills and progression and all that kind of stuff. I love lighting things on fire, so this is my guy. I just wiped out that whole screen full of stuff over there. And let's see here. We'll go do, what kind of time we got? Yeah, this is probably getting to be a long enough video at this point. I was going to say we could go on and do another quest, but I think it's time to wrap this up. Video's gone on for quite a while. You get the idea. I really like this, and I am glad I bought it. I was not necessarily interested in this game. I looked at it, I saw it, I'm like, okay, whatever. I saw this pop up on some other YouTubers' channels, and I didn't really watch any of the videos. I was just kind of like, whatever. I don't necessarily care about this game all that much. But for some reason, I did pull the trigger on it. It was $20. I was like, all right, whatever. And I'm glad I did. I have very much enjoyed this. I very much enjoy, I haven't even talked about the city yet. I really like walking around the city and seeing how all this works. Can we go over by these construction areas? The city is a whole other element into this. You can actually get, this is like cosmetics on the city. You can, is it this one that does it? Yeah. So you can actually get banners and stuff to show up. I don't know what else you can get on here, but you can change the city's appearance. We've looked at the teleporter section here, and then there's also this, which is all these different upgrades. There's a lot of stuff that's not in the game, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. But once you get enough points to upgrade the city, you can actually boost, like this boosts attributes of all characters by 2, and another one boosts attributes of all characters by 3, and there's other buffs that you're going to be able to get. Unlocks the training camp and increased experience earned by 5%, which I don't know where the training camp is, but there's a whole town section to go level up. I wanted to come down here and see this scaffolding. I don't know why. Just check it out. See, like I said, it's kind of interesting to come over here and check some of this stuff out. Oh, that's like elevators or something, I guess. I'm not sure. I guess those are elevators. But at any rate, I like this game. I think I said this earlier. I'm not sure how I would recommend this. You need to understand that this is probably going to be a 6 out of 10 game, maybe a 7 out of 10 at best. It's going to be kind of janky. The graphics aren't necessarily going to be as good. I think the town looks really good myself. I think there's a really good art style to it, but I think the character models are kind of bland. If you ask me, they're really basic. They do not look like an Unreal 5 game, to be quite blunt about it. But I love the way this looks. This has got a diorama feel or something like that. And there's some really good vistas and really good views, especially when you go out and start to fight. Some of the areas just look incredible. But I know people don't buy games to look incredible. They buy games to play and have fun, which I need to add one more thing to this. There are a bunch of difficulty options here. If I go change difficulty, we've got easy, medium, and hard. It defaults to medium. I think that's the beginning one. I swapped up to hard. There's also very hard, extreme, desolation 1, 2, and 3, or desolation 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then, or desolation 5, and then calamity. There's a lot of desolation in there. So once you go up to hard difficulty, you get access to draconic equipment. And then we get up to desolation 1 adds mythical. You can get access to mythical stuff there. And once you get over to calamity, I'm kind of covering it up, but you get access to the divine items. And you get mythical items and ingredients. Did it say that all the way back here? Or was it just mythic items? Oh, mythic ingredients starts at Desolation 3. So there's a lot of reasons to keep bumping the difficulty up. I did look at some of the end game, and it's basically just missions over the top of all the different levels we've already played. So go kill this monster, or go cleanse a castle or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But at any rate, if you're interested in this game, I will have a link down below. I think it's pretty cool. Your mileage may vary on how much jank you can suffer through and enjoy something. The game is not difficult. It's getting more difficult as I bump the difficulty up. So the default option is not necessarily the best option to play this on, and you may benefit from bumping up the difficulty 1 or 2 notches and going from there. But at any rate, that's going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.